Well, the Carolina Panthers, literally just days after parting ways with head coach Ron Rivera, has to play another game. They travel to Atlanta, the Panthers facing the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going with the Panthers in this one. I know they just lost their coach, but I think it's going to provide some sort of incentive for them to go out there and finish the rest of the year for their coach. I know that they lost to Atlanta previously earlier in the season, but I think Kyle Allen won't throw 4 picks again. They'll get the ball to McCaffrey early and often, and I think they come out victorious in this one.
I'm going the other way with this one, Vic. I think that when you fire the head coach, you lose the leader. A lot of players in that locker room love their head coach, so it's going to be tough for me to think that they're going to go play an Atlanta team and be motivated and ready to go when they just lost their head coach. So I'm going to go with Matt Ryan here in the Atlanta Falcons.
The news also coming this week that Cam Newton, despite the rest and the time, will indeed have to have surgery on his injured foot. It's hard to argue that Lamar Jackson at this point is the front runner in the MVP race. He will take his team up north. Could be quite chilly to face the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'm going with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I just think he's on a tear right now. And Harbaugh really has this team and Lamar Jackson playing at a high level. And he just has a knack for making big plays. I think he understands what's being asked of him. Now, it won't be easy, obviously, going against a very, very tough Buffalo defense. But I think the offense of the Ravens is just going to be too much for the Buffalo Bills to handle.
And the one thing that weather does not affect is the running game. So I think that the Ravens' ability to run the football is going to set them apart in Buffalo. Yes, the Buffalo Bills are playing well. They have a good defense. Offensively, they're strong. I still think that the Ravens are the better team right now. They have a ton of energy. That whole team, and you watch that team play, they're dancing around, they're enjoying it, they're having fun, and they're doing it together. So I just think that with that, right now they're playing the best football of the year. I think the Ravens win.
The Bills are 9-3, but this will be among their tougher tests to date. Well, they are winless no more. And up next for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns in this one, mainly because Baker Mayfield's mom did not raise a wuss, at least according to him. So I'm going with him. I think that from a talent perspective, they're just going to have more talent on the field, more playmakers. Look for Odell Beckham Jr. to have a big day. He hasn't had a 100-yard game in God knows how long. So look for them to get the ball to Odell early and often. But all those guys will be getting a lot of touches and putting up some big numbers in Cleveland.
I'm going with Cleveland as well. I think at this point right now, they know how important every game is moving forward. You look at Cincinnati, yes, hooray, dump the Gatorade bucket on the coach. They finally have a win, but I don't think that's going to get them over the hump, especially against a Browns team that has a lot of weapons, and offensively, it's hard to cover all those weapons.
As Victor referenced, Baker Mayfield dealing with a wrist injury, but he is expected to play despite missing some practice this week. It's been a tumultuous season for the Washington Redskins. They are coming off a win, but this week they travel to Green Bay.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall task for Haskins and the Redskins to be going to Green Bay and get a win. I think Aaron Rodgers, as well as Aaron Jones in that running game, is going to be the catalyst to get them over the hump. I just think they're going to run the ball better than they have in the past and more consistent with what they've been doing. And Aaron Jones will be that catalyst. And obviously those playmakers that Aaron Rodgers has at his disposal will be on display this Sunday evening.
And I agree. I mean, traveling to Lambeau is always tough. But you've heard Aaron Rodgers this week talk about the time and how little time he has left. He's seeing the 18th hole approaching. You know, he understands how important these last games are in this season. And for that team to go where they are looking to go, they're going to have to win this game against a Redskins team that we all know, isn't that great. But you can't play down to your opponent. You have to continue to grow, and hopefully they do take care of business and they continue to improve towards the end of the season here.
There's not a lot of precipitation expected in Green Bay over the weekend, but it is expected to be chilly. It is, after all, December in Green Bay. A short week for the Minnesota Vikings after playing on Monday night. Up next, they host the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings in this one. I just love Kirk Cousins and the things that he's doing right now, and I just want them to continue that pace, continue that trend. I know they're coming off a loss from Seattle Seahawks. They're a great team. Russell Wilson is a great quarterback right now on an MVP-like run. But I think the Minnesota Vikings have something special with that receiving core and those playmakers. And not to mention defensively, they really know how to get after the quarterback. So I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think the Vikings will get the job done. You look at what they did last week. having a loss to the Seattle Seahawks, who are one of the best teams in the NFC right now. I think that could be a character-building moment for that team. They were close, very close at the end, but they weren't able to finish that game out. So I think this week they get back on track. They're playing a Detroit Lions team who last week struggled against the Bears. Defensively, they're kind of trying to figure out what they are, and the Vikings can run the football, and Cousins is playing really well right now.
A win would put Minnesota at 9-4 and in much better position for the postseason. How about two 10-2 teams playing in a historically difficult place to play if you're not the home team? The 49ers on the road in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Jimmy G to hear anything in New Orleans and that Superdome. Look, I understand that they're both 10-2 and two great teams, but I'm going with New Orleans. I just think at home in New Orleans, Drew Brees and all his playmakers, they're going to be ready to go. They understand the level of this game, how important this game is, and they'll be ready to answer the bell. But it won't be easy because the 49ers defense will be coming at them full force. But I think New Orleans will handle the adversity early on and eventually win the ball game.
I can't wait to watch this game. I think it's going to be a great one to watch. But I think that the Saints at home, they have the dome, they have the defensive line being able to use that noise advantage to getting off on the football and getting after Jimmy Garoppolo. So I just think that it's going to be a game. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but the Saints are going to come out on top because of the fact that they're playing well right now, playing at home, and they're playing well in all three phases. So last week getting a blocked punt, and offensively playing well, defensively getting after the quarterback. So I think the Saints win.
Just 2 losses on the season for San Francisco. One of them, though, came last week to the Baltimore Ravens. We may have to file this one under someone has to win, although as my friend Chris Mortensen tells me that's not actually true, which he is correct. But it's the Dolphins and the Jets. Who you got? Yeah,
I'm going with the Dolphins in this one. Look, I just think they're in a position where they're just fighting. They're fighting for themselves. Each guy out there is fighting for their own individual right to be in the NFL, and I think that's what's going to carry them over. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is coming in energized. It seems like whenever he comes off the bench, that's the guy that gets them going. So I'm going with Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins in this one against the Jets.
I'm going with Miami as well. People might think we're nuts right now, but when I look at Miami, I think Brian Flores is doing a great job of putting everyone on notice, saying, look, we're not out here trying to get the first overall pick. We're trying to find out who wants to be in a new culture, a winning culture, and we're going to start right now building that foundation. So when you see the last couple of weeks and the things that they've been able to put together with a team that, let's just face it, they don't have the talent that some of these other teams have, and they're still out there putting up points, coming back, beating the Eagles. So I think it's a very impressive thing that they're doing, and that team is trying to start and create a new culture, and it starts now, not next year.
I think you have to tip your hat to Brian Flores and Fitzmagic. Alive and well, apparently.
Exactly.
The Indianapolis Colts, led by Jacoby Brissett, on the road at Tampa Bay. Who you got?
I'm going with the Colts in this one. I think Jacoby Brissett and T.Y. Hilton are going to link up for a huge day. I just think that Jacoby's playing at a high level right now, and now it's time to kick up and kick it into overdrive. So I think Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts get the win this week.
I'm going with the Colts as well. I feel like they've hit a little bump in the road here, a little tough stretch. So they need to get back on track, and I think the Tampa game is going to be the game where they get back on track, and Jacoby has a good game, and special teams, Vinatieri gets back on track, hopefully. So I'd like to see the Colts go down there and get a victory.
Interesting, Bruce Arians was asked if he could commit right now long-term to Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback, and he took the wait-and-see approach, which is a change in tune for the head coach. The Broncos are on the road. They head to Houston to face a Texans team who just knocked off the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and in a great game it was. And I think Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans will continue that trend. I just don't think the Denver Broncos match up enough with the playmaking ability and the playmakers of the Houston Texans. So Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins and all those guys will get off to a hot start, and you'll see a lot of Deshaun Watson early and often in that game, and they'll get the victory.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the Texans last week kind of opened the eyes of everyone. It sent a message to everybody across the league that, hey, look, we can play man defense. We can man up. You know, early in the year they were having some trouble. They've had some turnover there in the cornerback position. So I think when you watch them against the Patriots, offensively, we know that they have a lot of weapons. But defensively, they impressed me with their ability to play man coverage and get after the quarterback.
And we knew if that defense started to pick up, but compared to what they have on offense, they could be a force to be reckoned with as we move deeper into the season. The Los Angeles Chargers travel all the way across the country. They face the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers in this one. They've had a rough season thus far. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs. But as long as you have Phillip Rivers at the helm, you know that team's going to fight. You know they're going to come out swinging, and they're not going to go out without a fight. So I'm going with the Chargers. I think Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, they get off to a hot start and get the victory in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers as well. Like when you watch that team play, I feel like they've been underachieving, especially Phillip Rivers. He's been throwing more interceptions than he would like. So when you look at Jacksonville right now, Foles coming back, them paying Foles, him being hurt in the first game, him coming back, now being benched, I think it's just not the right thing that you want for your team to be going through right now to figure out where our quarterback position's going. So I don't see Jacksonville being able to put up the fight that they'll need to against the Chargers.
And when you look at the Chargers, they've lost about 7 or 8 games by 1 score.
It really has been
Been
frustrating, but no Minshew mania for you two, huh? Not this week
Not
anyway.
anymore.
One of the marquee matchups of the weekend for obvious reasons, New England hosting Kansas City, and this could be a preview of things to come.
Yeah, I'm going with Kansas City in this one. I think when you look at the Patriots defense and the 2 losses that the Patriots organization has this year, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, both mobile quarterbacks that can throw the football well. In comes Patrick Mahomes. I think that defense struggles with mobile quarterbacks that can throw the ball well. I think it keeps them off balance, and they really struggle with it, at least up until this point throughout the season. So I think they'll continue that struggle. Obviously, the Chiefs' defense has to play well in order to keep Tom Brady at bay, but I think that Patrick Mahomes and that offense and those playmakers will get off to a great start and eventually win the ballgame.
Vic, you would pick.
Rob doesn't like that. He doesn't like that pick very much.
I'm going with the Patriots. I feel like that defense is going to play well at home. But you look at the Chiefs and their ability to stop the run on defense, I think they struggle. And the Patriots haven't been able to establish the run, but I think this week they do. And then they mix in their play-action pass, and that helps Tom get back on track. And they have to score in the red zone. The last few weeks they have been struggling at getting the ball in the end zone, in the red zone. So I think this is the week that they're able to put together the right plays to where they go out and they score early because they have to play from ahead. The Chiefs are not a team that you want to let get a lead on you. So I think that that's what they're going to do. They come out, try to establish the run early, score, and let your defense win that game for you.
Foxborough, by the way, a historically difficult place to play in the month of December. You know, but you just don't know which Chiefs defense you're going to get. But we will see on Sunday. The Pittsburgh Steelers on some kind of roll, 6-1 in their last 7 games, and now they get ready for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers is what's going to carry them over the hump in this game. I think they've been playing extremely well. That defense has 9 first-round draft picks. I think that is going to culminate in that level of talent is really showing right now. 6-1 in their last couple games here, and I think that defense is going to help Hodges get over the hump, be in good field position, and he's going to ride that wave with all 3 phases and get himself another victory.
Yeah, I'm going with the Steelers. I think that they've done a great job of weathering the storm throughout the season. Injuries, quarterback injury, backup quarterback. Now they're on their 3rd-string quarterback, and he's playing well. Quarterback rating of 97, which is very impressive for only starting a couple games. So I think the Steelers have done a great job. Mike Tomlin has done a good job of keeping that team together because they could have gone the other way. So it's a team that I think has a shot at the playoffs, and it's going to have to happen against Arizona for them to continue.
And a strong case, I think, anyway, for Mike Tomlin as Coach of the Year.
Yep.
Agreed.
Sunday Night Football finds the Seattle Seahawks ready to travel and face the LA Rams.
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks are just too strong, I think. I think Russell Wilson is obviously playing at an MVP caliber rate right now, and I think that's just going to continue against the Rams. I think the Rams kind of don't have an identity this year. I think last year they built that on running the football and play action pass with Jared Goff. I think now they don't have that substantial running game that they had a year ago, and I think that the Seattle Seahawks are just clicking right now on all cylinders, and will continue that against the Rams for a win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Seattle's playing really well right now, and they have a tremendous running game. Their offensive line's playing well, and you have Russell Wilson. So when you have that combination, it's going to be tough for anyone to beat that team. So I think that at this point in the season right now, they're trending in the right direction. They're becoming a better, more complete team as the season is coming to an end.
He'll have to get past Lamar Jackson, but Russell Wilson right there in the mix in that MVP conversation. He has just been tremendous this year. The New York York Giants are on the road at Philadelphia, a critical matchup for the Eagles to stay in the hunt in terms of the postseason. But Eli Manning likely to start with Daniel Jones battling an ankle sprain.
Yeah, I like the Giants in this one. I think Eli Manning's coming in refreshed. I think he's coming in with no pressure. And that's a guy you got to be scared of, right? A quarterback that's coming in with no pressure. It's going to be throwing the ball all over the place. And I think the Eagles are just trending in the wrong direction right now. Coming off a loss against the Miami Dolphins. Who is this Eagles team right now? And I think the Giants are coming in to Philadelphia at the right time to go in there and get themselves a victory. And Eli Manning can ride off into the sunset.
I'm going with the Eagles on this one. I feel like when you look at that team, them losing last week to Miami, they got to have some type of fire built up inside of them to come out here and put together some type of game to where people can say, okay, that was the team that we remember from last year. But so far this year, I mean, they've been up and down, and they haven't played to the level that they expect. So I would anticipate this is a huge game for them moving forward. They understand the ramifications if they do not win this football game, and they want to be in the mix and they want to get into the playoffs. They're going to have to win out from here on.
So many storylines with these two quarterbacks, and for entirely different reasons, but a lot to watch for on Monday night.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.